Hi guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. Today I want to share with you the end of the year book tag. This is a book tag that was created by Ariel Bassett, and I will link her original video in the description box down below. But as 2019 is coming to an end, I thought it would be appropriate to share some of my end of the year reading goals, and that is exactly what this tag does. So let's get into it. The first question is, are there any books that you've started this year that you still need to finish? And so I tend to either finish books right away, or I DNF them, or I just completely take them off my currently reading, put them back on my want to read list, and we'll come back to it at a later point in time. And typically when I do that, I start the book over again. So that's my typical practice. However, there is one book that I started this year that I have not finished yet. I'm not currently reading it, and I still want to finish it, and that is Mullickie by Alan Brennert. This is a historical fiction book set in Hawaii in the 1890s, and it follows a 7-year-old little girl. She ends up having leprosy and is sent to live in a leper colony. It's actually a very interesting premise because Hawaii is an island, and so they didn't have a lot of outside diseases until people started traveling more frequently to them. And with the influx of Asian and American travelers, they now have a bunch of diseases that they don't know how to contain. And so anyone with leprosy is sent to live on a leper colony, and she is taken away from all of her family and sent to live on this colony, and it just kind of follows her story. The kind of tagline at the end of the description is, here her life is supposed to end, but instead she discovers it is just beginning. And I started this. It's really, really great. I just ended up needing to read a buddy read, and so I set this down, but I would really, really like to get back to it before the end of the year. So yeah, that is the one book that I did start this year that I have not finished yet. The next question is, do you have an autumnal book that transitions you into the end of the year? And typically in autumn, I start getting in the mood to read a little bit darker things, whether that's fantasy or historical fiction with heavier topics, that sort of thing. This year, my autumnal transition book has ended up being The Book Thief. This is the last book that I need to read for my reading the 5 books that have been on my TBR the longest challenge, that has taken me now 4 months to complete 5 books. But we're not even going to talk about that right now. We'll talk about that later. This is the last one. I've started it a few times, haven't been able to get into it. Now I'm into it. I'm about halfway in and loving it, and this is definitely transitioning me into wanting to read a little bit darker things, just with a darker atmosphere to them. But this is a very, very well-known book. It is World War II historical fiction and follows a little girl who steals books during World War II in Germany, and that's a very vague summary of it, but I'm really, really enjoying this so far, and it is definitely serving the purpose of transitioning me into fall with my reading. The next question is there a new release that you are still waiting for? And for me, I am still waiting for The Fountains of Silence by Ruta Sepetys to come out. That comes out November 1st, and I'm very, very excited for it. Ruta Sepetys has written a couple of my favorite books, Between Shades of Grey and Salt to the Sea. They are both World War II historical fiction, but completely different stories, and I absolutely love them. I also just finished reading last month, I think it was, Out of the Easy, which was her debut novel and was a 1950s historical fiction that was set in New Orleans. So this next book that she is writing takes place in Spain in the 1850s, maybe. I don't remember now off the top of my head, but I do know it's historical fiction, and I know it takes place in Spain, and I know that it covers a very little known part of Spanish history, and I'm very, very excited for it. So I cannot wait for that to come out, and I'm really, really hoping that I will be able to get that read before the end of the year as well, but we'll see, because I probably won't buy it. I'll probably wait to get it from my library. So we'll see. The next question is, what are 3 books that you want to finish before the end of the year? And so for me, My first answer is the remainder of the Betsy Tacy series, which in and of itself is a bit. But I'm behind with the Betsy Tacy read along that was taking place this year by quite a bit. I think I should have already finished this whole thing, which is 2 books. And I think the September read is either Emily of Deep Valley or Carney's House Party, one or the other. These are companion novels to the actual Betsy Tacy series, but I need to finish this. I am in the middle of the first one in this bind up, but yeah, it's slow going for me at this point. I've kind of lost steam and I need to get back into it, but I definitely want to finish those for the remainder of the year. Another one that I want to finish before the end of the year is Little Women. I have never read Little Women, and I'm really hoping that I can get this done before the movie comes out at Christmas. I know a lot of people are really excited for it, and I want to be part of it. I want to be part of all the excitement, and so I'm really hoping that I can get this read before that movie comes out. It's a chunker. We'll see. I'll probably tackle this on audiobook, but yeah. And then the last one that I would like to get finished before the end of this year is Where the Crawdad Sing. This is another one that has been very hyped, and I just want to see what the hype is all about. It's been on my TBR for a while. I just haven't had a chance to pick it up, and I really, really want to try to get that done before the end of the year. The next question is, do you think that there is still a book that could stand out and become your favorite this year? And this, for me, is a hard question. I'm going to kind of go off on a tangent here and have a discussion, but I see a lot of people doing like 5-star read predictions, and I hope that this is a 5-star read, and I think I'll rate this one 5 stars. And I've had in my head, like, that'd be a great video idea. And then I sit down to put together my list, and I look at all these books I want to read, and I hope they're all 5 stars. I think they will all be 5 stars. Otherwise, I wouldn't put them on my TBR. And so, are most of them 5 stars? No. I do not give out a lot of 5-star reads or 5-star ratings, but I hope to. And when I go into a book, not all the time, but I would say 8 times out of 10, I'm really hoping that it ends up being a 5-star read. Otherwise, I wouldn't read it. And so for this question, do I have any that I hope will be a favorite of the year? Yeah, I hope everything I pick up will be my favorite of the year. Otherwise, why would I read it? And so there are some books that I read that I know aren't going to be favorite reads, but I want to read them anyway. 1, to see what people are talking about. 2, because it's good to broaden my horizons, by reading outside of my comfort zone, reading things that I typically wouldn't pick up. But for the most part, if I don't think it's going to be a favorite read of the year, I'm not going to read it. So yeah, I do have a lot of books that I hope will be favorites of the year. But we'll see. We'll see if any of them do end up becoming that. So, and the last question is, have you already started making plans for next year? Reading plans for next year? And yeah, I have. I have been talking with Tia from Tia and All the Books about the possibility of doing an Anne of Green Gables read-along in 2020, which I'm very excited about because I have never read any of the Anne books. So I think that would be a lot of fun. I have also, just in being that this is my first year on BookTube and kind of getting the gist of things and how I want to do things, I am starting to think about next year, what do I want to do? Also, this year I have read exponentially more than I ever have in my entire life. Like, I think this year I doubled the amount of books I read last year. And so in knowing that I have the capability of reading that much throughout the year, what do I want to be focusing on next year in my reading? Do I want to read, at least one classic a month? Yeah, that'd be a great goal. Do I want to read, one middle grade a month? That'd be a great goal too. So those kind of things have been floating around in my head, and I'm starting to kind of put pen to paper on some of the things that I know I really want to focus on next year, just to see what I'm capable of and to see kind of where that takes me. Do I flourish in having a set TBR maybe a couple of months? Do I flourish in having a vague, goal, or having a more specific goal in mind? Are there any certain projects that I want to be working on? I've also been thinking about, the possibility of coming up with a couple of original tags that are more focused on specific times of the year. And so those are something that I've had in mind. There are just all sorts of things that I've been in the works for next year, and I'm very, very, very excited for it. I'm also starting to teach myself how to hand letter and write better so that I can maybe start a reading bullet journal. And that's something that I know a lot of people in the community do, and I always love that, but I'm not very artistic, and so it's going to take a lot of effort, and it's going to be a learning curve for me, but I'm really excited about the possibility of even trying that. So yeah, I'm very, very excited for next year and what that holds with my reading. But anyway, that does it for this tag. So I'm not going to tag anybody in particular, but I would love to hear what some of your end of the year reading goals are. Are you starting to make goals for 2020? If so, what are some of them? Do you have any books that you're still looking forward to reading this year? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear. But other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya!